Texas couple is taking drastic measures in order to pay for the health costs of their disabled daughter. One of those measures is getting a divorce. Well, now wait a minute here. Here's the thing. This is Jake and Maria Gray, and they're happily married. They've got 2 children, and one of them has a debilitating disability. And they plan on getting a divorce because they say it's the only way that they can afford health care for their daughter. Now, the couple's been married for about 9 years. They've got 2 kids, 2-year-old Theron and 6-year-old Brighton. Now, Brighton was born with a rare genetic disorder called wolf-hirschhorn syndrome. Now, that syndrome basically stops development at the newborn stage. So she may be in a 6-year-old body, but she has the brain of a newborn, and so requires round-the-clock care. Now, Maria Gray, her mother, said, quote, she will not be able to be on her own ever and requires 24/7 care. So, look, from what I know, anybody who's been in a situation where a family member needs round-the-clock care knows that it is very time-consuming and also incredibly expensive. Now, how expensive is it? Incredibly expensive. I'll get to one of the numbers of how much they spend per year on care. Now, the couple has tried to get Medicaid in order to deal with those spiraling medical costs. However, unfortunately, they make too much. Their husband, Jake, earns too much to get on Medicaid, $40,000 a year. Now, $40,000, in the grand scheme of things, it's actually not a whole lot of money, especially compared to gigantic medical bills. Now, before you say, why don't they just get insurance and stop trying to sponge off the government? I mean, Medicaid, you make too much for Medicaid. Why don't you just get insurance then? Well, they have insurance. See, Gray is an Army veteran, and he says the family has private health insurance, but they still spend $15,000 a year out of pocket. That's in addition to their copays. That's in addition to premiums and any other costs. $15,000 a year. Out of $40,000, that doesn't leave much left. In fact, he said, it's drowning us to try to keep up with their medical expenses. We've done everything we can do to try to keep her afloat, and we're going to reach a point where we can't do it, and we won't have another option. We don't know what to do. Now, the Grays have also applied for state assistance, but because of the giant waiting lists, they don't expect to get anywhere soon. Maria said, quote, we're number 60,000 in line. And of course, it being Texas after all, it might take quite a few years to get through that log. So this leads them, of course, to contemplate getting a divorce. Now, look, you might be wondering, how does that help? How does getting a divorce help her get Medicaid? Well, it would allow Maria to become a single unemployed mother and would qualify her for Medicaid. Now, the couple said that it might be the only way the family could get the help that they need to care for Brighton. So this is sad. I mean, just look at the lengths that people have to go just to get health care that they can actually afford. Now, Maria says, quote, you try anything when it comes to your child. So all of you, naysayers or people that balk at the idea of Medicaid or balk at the idea of some kind of socialist, healthcare system, right? Like Medicare For All or a national health service. Imagine if it was your kid. Imagine if you were in this situation, Army veteran, and a mother who can't work because she's got to care 24/7 for her child that will never be able to live on her own. Think of yourself in those circumstances. You got to ask yourself, what would I do to care for my child? What would I do? And what, beyond that conversation though, here's the thing, right? So a lot of people will see this story as, look at these dedicated parents. They're going to get a legal divorce just in order to do this so they can care for their child. Heartwarming. No, not heartwarming at all. What I see here is a failure of the system. Families shouldn't have to go through this in order to get health care. I mean, look, making health insurance a commodity, which is what we've done in this country, making healthcare a commodity, that only people who can afford it can be able to get it. And even if they get it, they have enormous bills that no person could possibly be able to afford. That is immoral. We all get sick. We all need healthcare. At some point, we're all going to need it. It shouldn't be based on whether or not you have enough money to be able to get things, to be able to get care. This is a deeply immoral system. And by the way, Maria said, quote, "We're not looking for charity here. We're not looking for money or donations. We don't want to GoFundMe. We don't want any of that." What she says is, I need the state to step up and give us the benefits that we need. And of course, let me add, the benefits that you deserve. And not just you. I think everybody deserves those same benefits. I think we all deserve it simply for being alive. Healthcare is a human right. It should be a human right. That's why we need Medicare for All. We have to do it. We have to do it because it covers everyone. And besides, there's a lot of great reasons of why we should do it, other than the moral reasons. For one, according to certain studies, it could save $17 trillion over the next 10 years. We already spend a great deal of money on our healthcare system. If we replace it with Medicare for All, we will actually spend less than that healthcare system. That's why they come up with the numbers of $17 trillion over 10 years, because of the reductions in cost that we'll pay, because it will no longer be a for-profit system. Look, it's the fiscal thing to do, it's the moral thing to do, and it's actually also, thanks to the polling, with 60% of Americans supporting a Medicare for All single-payer system, the politically smart thing to do. Politics, cost, and morality, all on the same side. That does not normally happen. And that should say something about this system. We need Medicare for All so that situations like this, so that no family has to be torn apart just in order to be able to afford health care, can ever happen again. It should never happen, and that's why we need Medicare. Just expand it already. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.